So here we are again, coming to you from the heart of Shadow Band land, where videos don't get any exposure, likes disappear, comments don't exist, and for the most part, people never share. And that has to do with the fact that we've all been predisposed or pre programmed to shy away from controversy. For the most part, the internet and social media platforms are specifically designed so that people can give false impressions of themselves and build their own little version of whoever it is they'd like to be or present themselves to the world as. When the reality of it is, and most of us know this to be true, very seldom are the people who are on the internet or even public figures, are they the people that they present themselves to be? Yes, there are people out there who look at it pretty much the same way as I do. I don't give a shit. I accept my shortcomings. I'm a flawed human being, and that's just the way it is. And if other people don't like it, they can take a flying leap because I don't give a shit. And I know that there are several of you out there watching this video that feel the same way. But for my purposes of this video especially, I can only talk about my personal experiences with people who are more about impressions than they are about the reality of how they act. I've known and interacted with people who were all about the persona, who were all about saying the right things, giving the right impressions, and creating the right facade. When behind the scenes, one on one, personally, after you really got to know them, were nothing like the person they presented themselves to be. And all I can do is offer my personal opinion on that. I hate that shit. Don't tell me you're this, that, or the other thing, and then prove later on that you're not, and waste both of our time in the process just because they have a hidden agenda or things they'd like to accomplish, and think that by saying whatever along the way will help them accomplish their goals. That kind of stuff just crawls right up my ass. And I could tell a million stories about just that kind of behavior. But y'all know what I'm talking about. Everyone has experienced it in some form or another. Yet, take the attitude politically that it's always that way, that there's nobody like us out in the world who holds a position of power that doesn't operate like that. I would beg to differ. Some people actually are how they present themselves. Even people in the public light, in the political realm, and so forth and so on. What we should all remember is that there's positive and negative in everything. It's unavoidable. And overlooking that fact or deciding that it's all just one way or another screws it up for everybody else. You have to base people on their work. How many times have they given their word and followed through? How many times have they made commitments and actually met those commitments, whether it be on paper or not? And holding the attitude that it doesn't matter what it's like on the inside, it's all on the outside that counts, makes for a very large group of shallow people who are more about their own aims, goals, and power than they are about the people themselves. This is what really irritates the hell out of me about the liberal progressive movement. They run around out there in the world shouting and screaming that everyone should be accepting of everyone else, yet commit violent acts against people they disagree with, shut down their voices, and take away whatever they can because they don't agree with them. How in the world can anyone call that accepting of everyone? I'll even go so far as to say anyone who believes in those policies, practices, and is for instituting some of the things that have went on, especially on the internet, is a hypocrite, a poser to accomplish their own ends and make themselves look good along the way. When the things that they say don't match up with the things that they do. And that's the basic definition of a hypocrite. I watched the House Judiciary Committee this morning literally change the rules of their method of operation so that they could pursue an impeachment investigation against the president, overlooking the oaths that they take to hold those positions, all in order to accomplish an agenda designed to protect themselves because they're afraid of being exposed for the hypocrites that they really are, for the blatant dereliction of duty that the majority of them have committed along the way to their oath of office and the standards that are supposed to be applied to people who are elected to represent the people, who have along the way said whatever they needed to say so they could get in a position of power and represent and enrich themselves. For the most part, everything that they have been doing up to this point and will do in the near future is all about protecting themselves. And that's why they changed the rules on the Judiciary Committee, because they have to keep something going. Because when the evidence that's out there that they know will expose what they've been trying to do comes out, they can claim that they're being targeted politically because they have this investigation going, that, or whatever. When the facts and the evidence will show that they're guilty of committing treason, guilty of violating their oaths of office, and guilty of betraying the very people who elected them to represent them. And this all ties in to the push against the Second Amendment. Because how would you feel if you found out years later that your father was molesting your sister and abusing your mother, and you didn't know or you didn't understand because you believed the persona that was built along the way? You wanted to believe the best of that person and their words, when they were behind the scenes violating every damn one of them. It's not because they fear for our safety and well being that they push against the Second Amendment. It's fear of what the people might do when and if all of this information is brought into the light.